Ethan, would you suggest the Job Guide 360 guide for candidates getting ready for interviews?
Yes, without a doubt. It is well structured and makes preparation straightforward.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really critical. We're dissecting the knowledge you absolutely need to be a top-level client relationship manager. Think director, maybe VP level.
Exactly.
If you've ever wondered, what it really takes to manage a company's clients at that kind of strategic height, well, this deep dive into some top-tier interview guides should be perfect for you.
That's right. And what we've got here, it isn't just some basic job description, right? It's more like a blueprint, a really detailed one.
Okay.
It maps out the strategic, the technical, even the behavioral stuff expected for this kind of senior role, often sitting right where marketing, sales, and customer success meet.
A busy intersection.
Definitely. And our mission today is pretty focused. We want to pull out the core strategic thinking you need for this job. It's not just about what software they know.
Right.
It's how they analyze things, how they automate, and fundamentally how they lead teams using data, all to build, deeper customer loyalty.
Okay, before we jump into the nitty-gritty questions, let's set a baseline. What do these guides suggest is the ideal profile? What really separates a strong candidate?
Yeah, it's pretty demanding. It's this blend of technical skill, but also high emotional intelligence.
Okay.
So obviously, excellent communication skills are a must. You're leading teams, often cross-functional ones, and a deep practical understanding of CRM software that's just table stakes, non-negotiable.
Makes sense.
And crucially, they need the analytical ability, not just to gather data, but to actually act on it strategically.
And flip side, what are the big red flags, the things that immediately signal maybe this person isn't quite ready for that director role?
Oh, they're very clear on those pitfalls, immediate red flags. Well, a clear lack of hands-on experience with core CRM platforms is a big one.
You can't direct if you haven't used the tools.
Exactly, you haven't navigated the terrain. But honestly, maybe even more damaging is a lack of strategic thinking. Someone who sees the CRM as just, a fancy Rolodex.
Instead of a revenue engine.
Precisely. Or someone whose communication skills just aren't strong enough to get everyone on board, across the whole organization. You need a leader who's technical and a great facilitator of change. Both.
Okay, let's unpack that first piece, the foundational strategy. So imagine you, the listener, are interviewing. A common challenge is justifying the investment, right? How does a CRM manager figure out if a company even needs a CRM system? You can't just go install expensive software because, the CFO saw it in a magazine.
Exactly right. And that's the difference between just being a technician and being a strategist. The guides really push for a rigorous needs analysis.
Okay.
Focused on identifying where things are inefficient. Now they have to look at three core things. First, the sheer volume of clients. Is it overwhelming the current manual systems?
Right.
Second, the complexity of the sales cycle. Is it long, multi-touch? Does it involve lots of departments? Simpler processes maybe don't need that level of orchestration.
Good point.
And third, critically, audit the current tools being used. Where are the data silos? Where's the friction coming from? A CRM really only pays off if these factors show a current, measurable, costly inefficiency the system can fix.
So it's about solving a real problem, not just getting new tech.
It's solving a systemic failure, yeah, and mitigating risk, not just buying something shiny.
I like that focus on the failure point first. Okay, so decision made, you need one. The next step is using its power, right? Automation. We hear about basic stuff, but at the director level, what specific automation examples do these guides highlight for really improving strategic workflows?
Yeah, the conversation here definitely moves beyond just basic scheduling. It's about complex efficiency. For a director, automation's goal is really about creating bandwidth, freeing up time for that high-value human interaction.
Makes sense.
So sure, they mention the common things like crucial welcome emails for new folks or follow-up emails after purchases. Those handle the high-volume transactional stuff. But what's really interesting is the emphasis on things like lead scoring and dynamic segmentation.
Okay, dynamic segmentation. Why is that so important at the director level? More so than, say, just reminding someone about an abandoned cart.
Well, because a director is looking at the entire customer journey, not just the final step. Dynamic segmentation lets the system automatically shift customers into different nurture tracks based on their real-time behavior.
Okay.
Which is a key sign of engagement, right? It's how you scale personalization effectively. Instead of a sales rep trying to manually track who opened what email,
Which is impossible at scale.
Totally impossible. The CRM automatically flags the high-intent leads, the MQLs, marketing qualified leads, and routes them straight to the right person for that warm human follow-up immediately. It just makes the whole funnel way more efficient by focusing human effort where data says it'll pay off most.
That makes total strategic sense. But bringing in a powerful new system like that always creates friction. Change management headaches. How does a manager actually train an existing sales team who might be set in their ways to adopt and really use the new CRM consistently?
Yeah, this is where the leadership and, frankly, organizational design skills come in. The source material is explicit about this. It lays out 3 key methods for managing that change, and it stresses that technical success means nothing if people don't actually use the tool.
Right. User adoption is everything.
Everything. So first, you have to start with dedicated, interactive, hands-on training sessions, and they need to be tailored, not just some generic PowerPoint for everyone.
Yeah.
Second, you need regular check-ins, maybe office hours, address problems in real time, make sure the team sees the system as a help, not a hindrance.
Hope trust in the tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And third, provide accessible, just-in-time resources. Think tailored cheat sheets or short video tutorials. Stuff people can grab when they actually get stuck. It has to be ongoing support, continuous improvement. Otherwise, people just slide back to the old ways.
The path of least resistance. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Moving from that softer strategy stuff to the hard technical execution. So if you, the listener, were in that high-stakes interview and they ask you to recommend a CRM solution for a growing company, what's the critical research process you'd need to outline?
Right. You absolutely have to show a structured, risk-aware approach. Step 1 is always identifying your company's specific needs, what are the current pain points, and what's the budget. Can't shop without a clear checklist of must-haves and nice-to-haves.
Non-negotiables first.
Definitely. Second, you compare features and functionality naturally, but you have to look really closely at scalability.
Okay, let's pause on scalability for a sec. That term gets thrown around a lot. For a director, what does true scalability mean beyond just, it can grow with us?
That's a great question. It means planning for the future to avoid problems. True scalability means the system won't choke or slow down when you hit your Q4 peak sales rush, or when you suddenly add a new international sales team, or when your data volume doubles overnight, which can happen. It means the system's architecture can handle that kind of exponential growth without needing a total overhaul in 2 years.
A rip and replace. Nightmare.
Exactly. And that the cost per user stays manageable even if you double your sales or marketing team size. It's really about long-term cost viability and just basic business resilience.
That totally reframes how you'd pick a system. Yes. Risk mitigation. Okay, speaking of platforms, the sources mentioned specific names and features. Which big CRMs did they highlight, and what are those foundational features a candidate absolutely needs to know?
Yeah, they mentioned the big industry players like Salesforce and HubSpot, mainly as examples to provide context.
Usual suspects.
Right. And the most useful features that any strong candidate should be able to name and explain the strategic use of are things like robust contact management, obviously, to keep data clean, integrated email tracking to see what's working in terms of engagement, and comprehensive analytics dashboards.
Those seem like the core building blocks.
They're the non-negotiables, yeah, for managing the pipeline and actually proving ROI.
Which brings us neatly to the data, the absolute heartbeat of this CRM director role. What performance metrics, what KPIs are really crucial for showing that client relationship management is actually efficient, and why these 3 specifically.
Right, this is the so what? This is how the director justifies their existence to the C-suite, basically. Yeah. They pinpoint 3 critical KPIs. First, customer lifetime value, or CLV. That's the total predicted worth of a customer over their whole relationship with you.
The long game.
Exactly. Second, customer retention rate. Probably the clearest sign of service quality and loyalty, or people sticking around.
Makes sense.
And third, response time.
Okay, response time. Interesting. Why is that elevated to the same level as CLV and retention for a senior leader? Doesn't that feel a bit operational?
It might seem that way, but what's fascinating is how they frame it. At the strategic level, response time acts as a proxy. It reflects staffing efficiency, training effectiveness, and maybe even the perceived health of the whole client relationship.
Okay, I see.
If your response time is consistently slow, it tells you something's wrong. Either your team's swamped, or maybe undertrained, or your automation isn't working properly. And that directly hits your retention rate down the line.
So the director uses it to argue for resources.
Precisely. To justify resource allocation or maybe new tech investments, it's not just about being fast, it's about proving your service model is sustainable and, frankly, respectful of the client's time.
That connection back to CLV and retention is really powerful. But clients today, they're everywhere, right? Email, social media like X, LinkedIn. How does a CRM manager make sure all that data gets centralized? How do you get that critical single view of the customer when interactions are happening all over the place?
Yeah, that brings us to a key technical requirement, integration. It's absolutely critical if you want to avoid those messy, expensive data silos.
Okay.
They specifically say that integrating your CRM with social networks or other third-party tools requires robust API integrations. The API, that's the application programming interface.
Connector.
Right. It's the standard way that allows two totally different software systems to talk to each other and exchange data securely and in a structured way.
So strategically, the director isn't just looking for an easy link up. They need a solid data governance structure underneath it.
Exactly. The goal isn't just, connecting Salesforce to LinkedIn. The strategic goal is enabling that centralized data collection. So when a sales rep talks to a client, they see the entire history.
Everything in one place.
From their first tweet complaining about something, to their latest support ticket, to their purchase history, all in one screen. That allows for truly streamlined, context-aware engagement across every channel. And that's essential if you want to scale individualized communication.
Okay, so we've covered strategy, tech, but the role also requires strong leadership. Let's pivot to the people management side. How does a manager make sure the sales team actually follows up on all the leads coming from marketing? Accountability is key, but just telling people to do it or using spreadsheets, that's not going to work.
No, definitely not. Accountability needs structure. It requires 3 layers of enforcement built right into the system. Takes the reliance off manual nagging.
Okay, layer 1.
First, set up non-negotiable automated reminders and workflows within the CRM itself. So tasks don't get missed, leads don't go cold just because someone forgot.
Systematize it.
Right. Second, foster a culture of transparency. Hold regular meetings, maybe weekly, to systematically review lead statuses, conversion rates. Focus on team performance, not pointing fingers at individuals.
And third,
implement a robust tracking system. Think custom reports showing who owns which lead, how long it's been sitting there. Clear quantitative accountability. You can't improve what you don't measure, right? And this kind of structure forces people to adopt the process.
let's make this concrete with one of those behavioral questions. The source asks about describing a successful marketing campaign and the key lesson learned. Beyond just, we hit the sales target, what was the specific strategic learning in the example they used?
Yeah, the example campaign they talked about was, I think, a holiday initiative. It generated a pretty significant lift, something like a 30% sales increase.
Nice.
But the real learning, a concrete takeaway, wasn't about the clever ads or the creative. It was reinforcing the absolute importance of accurately segmenting the audience first, based on purchase history, engagement, whatever, and then personalizing the message to really speak to their specific needs or desires.
So back to that core idea.
Exactly. It just hammers home that high-level CRM isn't about blasting everyone with the same message. It's about using technology to deliver communication that feels individual, feels human, but at scale.
That's a fantastic illustration of balancing the tech and the human touch. Okay, finally, the behavioral side of this director role. It seems to focus heavily on soft skills, emotional leadership too.
Yeah.
What other key behavioral topics did the sources touch on, especially around things like trust and dealing with failure?
Yeah, the questions definitely got into the human side of managing complex, often high-value client relationships. They specifically asked how a candidate built strong offline relationships, you know, the kind that survive price hikes or market shifts.
A real bedrock relationships.
Exactly. And even more critically, they wanted a detailed example of how a candidate regained a major client's trust after a significant screw-up or crisis.
That's tough.
Really tough. And finally, they tested self-awareness. They asked for a time when the team delivered poor customer service, leading to losing a client. Not to assign blame, but to see if the candidate could analyze that failure objectively and implement real systemic changes based on that painful lesson.
Wow. So it sounds like the true test of a director isn't just managing success, but how they respond to failure, and actively rebuild trust.
Precisely. It's all about continuous improvement, understanding that deep emotional component of managing valuable relationships over years, and recognizing that the CRM system, it's just a tool, an important tool, but still just a tool to support that essential human interaction.
Okay, so let's try and quickly synthesize the big themes from this deep dive. Successful CRM director, it seems, is this unique hybrid leader.
Okay.
Part analyst, right? Deeply focused on CLV, response time, retention rate.
Yep.
Part technologist, fluent in APIs, automation strategy, scaling personalization.
Right, absolutely.
And crucially, part change facilitator. Training teams, ensuring accountability across the whole organization.
That sums it up well. And it really raises the ultimate strategic question, doesn't it? The one that any aspiring director should probably be thinking about.
Which is?
Well, the role clearly demands fluency in both people skills and quantitative analysis. So the provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider is this. As we rely more and more on complex tech tools like CRM systems, sophisticated automation, how much does long-term success really depend on mastering the automated process versus relying on that fundamental human capacity of the manager for trust building in those key client relationships, that inherent tension, between machine efficiency and genuine human connection? That's the tightrope this leader has to walk every single day.